Stop listening to atheist YouTubers.
But I can admit it. Jesus drowned babies. Get over it.
Okay, I'm here to take your questions, your calls, if you need advice, I'm here to help. I'm here to increase the volume of my mic so you can hear me. Go to sounds. Still having the same problem, by the way. Okay. Oh, wow, it was down to 60. See, now I'm hot. Now I'm loud. But if you're, let's say, ex-Muslim, ex-Christian, and you're struggling, feel free to call in. If you need hope, meaning, and purpose, I will give it to you at no cost. If you are currently a theist and you're struggling, or you think I should struggle with my worldview, please call in. You can help me at no cost. Yeah, get over it. Jesus drowned babies. Get over it. We can talk about that. Talk about whatever you want. You can be an atheist, you can be theist. The reason why I'm doing it today is because tomorrow I'm going to be busy. So no Theist Thursday. I don't think there'll be a Theist Thursday. So if you're a theist, you got to call in now. So to start us off, I will read a letter I got, a question, some advice from a subscriber. Dear Pinecreek, I have a child who's in a university that teaches critical race theory, doesn't give out grades. What should I do? Well, that's a great question. My advice is change universities. Too much gain. I can't hear T-jump. Okay, yeah, let me turn it down a scotch. How's that? Is that better? I don't need hope, meaning, or purpose. I just need money. Well, Fred Harvey, that's you're asking for my advice. Spend less, earn more. It's easy. Doug has TikTok? Yes, Doug has TikTok. Tag me if you have questions. If you want to come on, tag me as well. Mike sounds a little cringe. I know. Relax. All will be well. First few seconds of a live stream takes some tweaking. Yeah, I know the mic is hot. Now it's good, right? Yeah. Of course. See, Myron sometimes comes in here and he plays with my mic. He's 56 years old, but he's like a child. Reminds me a little bit of you, Tux. Doug, where's that Pritchett clip from? I need to watch that, I beg. This clip here?
But I can admit it. Jesus drowned babies. Get over it.
Yeah, that clip was taken years ago when they respond to one of my videos where I had a challenge for theists to admit certain things. Let's see if I can find it. It's on Trinity Radio, Pinecreek challenge. Maybe I can find it that way. Yeah, look at first. See, Jerome, I'm glad you asked, because what I just did is I gave you an example of how to be resourceful, how to think on your own. I know it's tough, but you know Jonathan Pritchett's on Trinity Radio, so type in Trinity Radio and Pinecreek, and then odds are you'd find it on your own. But I'm here to help at no cost to you. I'm not saying you're stupid. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you're stupid. So here's the link for you. You're welcome, Trinity Radio. Free advertising at no cost. This is free today. I know most of the time I charge admission fees for you guys to come in and listen to me, but not today. Watabaka asks, how do I convince my boomer parents conservatism is immoral? Well, Watabaka, that's a great question. How to convince your boomer parents that conservatism is immoral? You just got to point to cases where they can see with their own eyes, the brutality, the chicanery, the debauchery. Like, show videos of conservatives killing kids and show videos of conservatives chopping the limbs off people. This is what you need to do, because it will be clear to them once they see those videos of conservatives saying, in the name of conservatism, death to all. They will change their minds, Watabaka. But thank you for your question. Rainbow VHS asks, why can't we tax you and redistribute your money to pay for universal basic income? Yeah, you can. I'm at the mercy of society. You can come and take whatever I have under threat of duress. Yep. And then I'll be poor, and then you have to give it right back to me. Well, just money will go round and round and round. I'm an unlicensed therapist, but very effective, I've been told. I got empirical data. Sometimes I wonder if Doug's secretly a believer making us watch religious content, trying to convert us to religion. Shh, quiet. Don't let the truth out. I'm actually a presuppositional Calvinist. Braxton's probably crying right now. How generous, Doug. Well, you know, I like to help the little people like Braxton. Pinecreek covering his rear with a not as licensed therapist. Well, let me be clear. I am not a licensed therapist, but there's no reason to cover my rear because my rear is superb. If you could see my rear, you would agree. Because that's just science. That's empirical evidence. Codex asks a brilliant question. I am a low IQ individual. May I stay? Today you can, yes. Today is for low IQ people as well. It's free, low IQ. It's this episode, you're welcome. Usually I don't allow it, but today I will. Doug, all the best from Poland. Longtime viewer here. You changed lives. I changed lives in Poland. See? A non-licensed therapist as myself is changing lives in Poland. I have ancestry actually from Prussia, which is Poland/Russia, right? Prussia, Poland, Russia. Jim Cummins asks, have you been following Elon's Twitter purchase and management? How is he doing? Oh, yes. Elon Musk and myself, we talk a lot. I really don't like the guy. He talks too slowly for me. He's a slow talker. That's how he talks. But he's doing well. Yeah, his numbers are up. What day are we on? We're on. So for all you Elon Musk haters, he's stepping down from CEO, but he still owns it. He has full control. He's going to, like, he and I have been talking, we're doubling our efforts to getting more misinformation out. I think we're being successful in having more information come out to try to hurt as many people as possible. So I think we're succeeding. He did overpay. I told Elon, come on, you're paying triple for what it's worth. Because I know, but how else are we going to get the misinformation out there if we don't buy Twitter? So yeah, good point. So it was worth it, I think, to pay $30 billion over fair market value to, I guess, mold the minds of our youth in a wrong way. But thanks for your question. Tag me if you have a question, any advice you need, any help you need. I'm here to help. I always argue and often want to leave my partner, says my jam, of 8 months, as she's crazy, needy, controlling, and a walking panic attack. But the coitus is amazing. What should I do? Well, this is an excellent question. If the coitus is amazing, you stay. As soon as it starts to falter out, you go next. But thank you for your question, my jam. In fact, I think there's hard science. This is not, people say psychology is a soft science, but no, it's hard. It's hard science. There's hard science that the crazier the woman, the better the coitus. That's just science. We all know this. Craig Hughes asks, Mrs. Pinecreek probably enjoys it. Enjoys what? Oh, my divine behind? Divine behind. Now that should be on a t-shirt. Why did you make yourself the enemy, a shrink? I thought you were a cool man. You don't have a license though, so that's good at least. Thank you, Flamleo. I best better put the link in, right? So people can ask me questions in person, so it's more intimate. If you call in, make sure you're lying on a couch. Because we're going to get serious. I'm going to poke and prod in your most intimate places in your soul and mind. So be ready. I did rigorous studies to prove that crazy women are better, said Hillary's emails. Yeah, that's science. Crazy men too, by the way. I'm not chauvinist. I must admit, I'm a poor lover because I'm not crazy. But I try. My wife grades me every time. And I said, be honest. If I'm an F, you tell me, because a little pain now will lessen the pain in the future. And I will be serious. If you call in and you have a serious question or a serious challenge for me, that's, we're having fun here, but we can also be serious, because that's what life is about, being serious and fun at the same time. And if you prefer to stay in the shadows and just ask your questions via chat, that's fine too, because I know not all of you are brave. Most of you are spineless cowards who have not been taught to take risks. I get that. Landon Metokos asks, how do I get over my intense jealousy of Cameron Batuzzi's shoes? They're so rad. This is how you do it, Landon. You take a still of his shoes and you put it up on your mirror, like in your bathroom. So every morning you look at his shoes and you let the jealousy boil over to maximum extent. And then eventually you become numb to it. Okay, we have our first caller. Rainbow VHS.
Hey, Doug, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible to all.
I had a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, after watching your channel and other channels by other, street epistemologists, I found myself becoming more and more progressive, and more liberal, to the point where I feel like I almost converted from, I'd say, being more conservative to more liberal and progressive.
Well, hang on.
I think
You watching my show and you become more progressive and liberal?
Yeah, well, not Pinecreek politics. That show is it may be pushing me in the other direction, but definitely the approaches towards religions and the way that you can use the.
Myron, didn't you screen this call?
Oh shit! Sorry for swearing. I'm sorry for that. I won't swear.
Yeah, if you're gonna do that one more time, I'm gonna have to boot you.
I apologize, Doug. I'm a lawyer and I have to.
You're a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's why you're liberal.
Yeah, public defender, working for the state, school trust stuff. So that could be a bias.
See,
but
if you become a conservative, you're out of a job.
Maybe, probably. Well, yeah, actually.
This is part of the Pinecreek theorem.
Well, conservatives start paying for public defense once liberals start suing them in federal court for not paying for public defense. It's a cycle.
Okay, so you came on to thank me, right?
Well, I came on to ask you a question. Do you think that the methodology that you approach, I guess not that you approach, but you preach, I guess, to folks and considering any kinds of questions, any kinds of dogmatic questions, are going to cause people to become more liberal or more conservative?
The way I do things, do I think they're going to become more liberal or more conservative?
Yeah, the way that you encourage people to approach religious questions or any question regarding faith. I applied.
more liberal.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Because when people lose religion, they replace it with a new religion of feel sorry forism.
Hmm. I don't know. I think about.
So liberals should be thanking me.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And that's what confuses me.
And that's why you're here, to thank me.
Yes, for the great content over the years. I've really
You're
enjoyed
welcome.
it. How do you reconcile the difference between, I guess, the approach that I think that you take on Pinecreek politics and the idea that maybe you're causing people to become more liberal by questioning religion?
Well, I don't really care if people become more liberal or not, because I'm not like one of these conservatives that think all liberals are evil.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a nice person.
That was the only question I had.
Do you agree I'm a nice person?
100%. I do. I don't think that you have ill intent.
Do you think I hurt people?
Do I think you hurt? I don't think that anybody exists who doesn't hurt people. I think I hurt people by the very act of my consumption as an American. I bought a PlayStation the other day. I think all the time about the amount of harm I inflicted on the people in the mines. I had to mine my PlayStation medals, my PlayStation.
So how do you get over that guilt?
I don't. I embrace it.
You drink whiskey?
No. I can't drink.
You just live in your sorrow while you play PlayStation.
I don't feel sorrow. I think that I just think about.
You don't feel
what I
sorrow?
do.
You must be a conservative.
No, I just might be a bad person. I will say though, I mean, it does impact my behavior in some ways. I do try to limit my consumption, but I don't think there's any way for me to limit my consumption to the point where I can say I'm not inflicting serious damage on all kinds of people.
Yeah.
But
well, I get comments from many Christians saying, I watched your video, Doug. I'm a Christian and you made my faith stronger.
How does that make sense? How does that work?
Well, how does what you just said make sense? How does that work? Because it's very similar to what you came in here saying, right? That I made you a stronger liberal or more of a liberal. You remind me of those Christians.
I think you made me a less confident conservative. Questions about, for example, blind loyalty to country, blind loyalty to really anything, any of the dogmatic beliefs that I have.
Oh, do you think conservatives have blind loyalty to country?
Many do.
Yeah, and many don't, right? Do you think so?
You think many don't? You're right. You're right. They definitely don't. Because you think about anti-establishment conservatives.
Yeah.
That's the last thing they're going to say is I have blind loyalty to my
country.
But
they tend to be like more libertarian type conservatives. But yeah, you get all sorts and stripes, right?
Yeah.
Do you think conservatives are needed in society?
Needed.
Yeah.
Well, it really depends on what form that conservatism takes, right? I don't know. It depends on what stage I guess it depends on what's going on. You might want to read the room. But conservatism generally, I mean, I don't know. Are conservatives needed in society? I don't know.
I think people who lean left, we'll call them liberals, are needed in society. I think that. But you don't
needed, yeah.
You don't think
needed for the.
You don't think it goes the other way around, though.
It probably does, but I just don't know if I can explain why. If I answer yes, I don't think I can explain why. I think that liberals and conservatives will certainly always exist in any society, but needed for what? For the continuation of it, for the flourishment of it.
Yeah, just for flourishment. Let's take that one. Like, do you think sometimes? Well, it's a conservative principle, like traditions, or if something isn't broke, why fix it? Well, that's kind of true, right?
Yeah. Would you consider that though conservative ideology?
No. Well, the whole term conservative and liberal is like can be almost anything, but there's like some basic things like the tough love approach versus the soft love, whereas conservatives have this perception of being the tough love, and the liberals' perception of the soft love, and both are needed, right? At times.
Yeah. I don't like tough love though.
You don't. Well, that's why you're a liberal.
Yeah, probably. Um,
If you like tough love, you would be conservative, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right.
But you know,
I don't have that.
I love you. No, I don't love you. That's terrible. I like you, man, because we need touchy-feely people like you.
That's true. You do. I'm telling you, you'd have a big problem on your hands if I didn't exist representing the people who are, driving without insurance. You have a big problem on your hands. I solve a lot of problems for society with my empathy and my feelings.
By helping people who don't drive with insurance?
By ensuring that they receive constitutional due process so that the state doesn't get sued for denying them that process. I'm an integral part of making sure people
But
aren't
it's illegal to
imposed.
drive without a license, without insurance, right?
It is.
So,
Very illegal.
okay. So it's not like you're defending their illegality. You're defending their due process.
No, I plead them out. I plead them out.
You plead them out.
I just ensure that the punishment is as low as possible, so that they don't become more desperate and start committing worse crimes.
I see. That's very pragmatic.
Yeah, I haven't gone to trial on a criminal issue in almost ever. It's been years. Everybody pleads.
Boy. Insurance fraud, that's a big one.
Insurance fraud, yeah. I will say though, from what I can tell, I don't think that the laws about driving with license or driving with an insurance has impacted anybody's behavior. None of my clients care at all. I mean, most of my clients, if they come across with no insurance at 6th or 7th or 8th, they become habitual traffic offenders, still continue to drive because the consequences from the state just don't exist.
Well, that's because you plead them to the lowest punishment.
Well, it's because the state can't afford to impose the punishment that would disincentivize the behavior. I mean, a habitual traffic offender,
How about
at
take their
least in my
license
state,
away?
they'll still drive. They'll continue to drive.
And then if they continue to drive without a license, you can't put them in jail for a year?
You cannot, because the jail is already filled with people who are trying to kill you and break into your house. Our jail, for example, has a maximum capacity of 140 people. It's always at maximum capacity. Both the judges and the county knows that they can't impose disincentivizing sentences, because they don't have anywhere to put these people. There isn't enough money to, I guess, play the playbook in the way that it would work. You need to build more jails.
Oh, can I quote you, a liberal saying that? We need more jails?
I think you'd need to build more jails if you wanted the disincentivizing effect of the law to work.
Don't back off on it. Own it.
Well, I don't think we need more jails, because if all of the people...
You just said we need more jails.
We need more jails in order to accomplish that objective. I don't think that we ought to accomplish that objective, because if you put everybody in jail who is committing traffic offenses to the point where it might actually change their behavior, and this applies to DUIs and minor thefts too, you'd run out of people. I mean, the people...
That'd be great for the environment.
That's a good point.
No, I got two young teenagers who are both driving now, and I'd rather have them in jail than out on the streets driving recklessly, driving under the influence. They might kill my kids.
Absolutely. And I think it's going to get worse. But what are you going to do? I mean, I've got clients who, for example, in the state of Montana, you could get 4 DUIs before you're looking at a jail sentence that's longer than a week. And then you're put in jail for 6 months at a minimum. And then when you get out, you probably don't have your job or the ability to drive. So if you do get a job, you can't get there.
It's because of the destruction of the nuclear family.
You think so?
Duh, yeah.
I don't think these people can't afford to drive or get their lives together. They definitely can't.
I wonder how many of them have fathers in the home who love them.
Of my clients?
Yeah. Actually, this is a great question.
I do ask a lot about the family life, because I'm always interested.
So what percentage of the people you represent had fathers in the home?
I can't give you accurate data. I don't know, because I don't remember.
Would it be more or less than 50%?
Definitely more. In the state of Montana.
Oh, okay.
pretty low population density. But having the fathers in the home is what screwed these people up, because they had incredibly violent, evil parents.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's good for the fathers to be in jail.
I think it's just good to have two people, male or female, present, watching you, paying for you, and encouraging you not to ruin your life, and not modeling bad behaviors. I'm not teaching you to solve problems with anger or blaming it on the government or other people. But it always comes down to family. This is the anecdotal, but when I ask my clients, how did you get here? I ask them about their childhoods or their history. It's a nightmare. I couldn't even describe it to you on YouTube. Absolute nightmare.
Anyhow, we're boring the kids.
Are we? All right. Well, thank you for the large amount. This is a lot of time I was afforded. I really like coming on. So thank you, and have a nice show.
And thank you for the great compliment. Flamio.
Yeah, I see you.
I see you too. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Very busy peak. I work at a shipping company, very busy. Had a couple 60+ hour weeks, but it's over this week, so I'm feeling much better.
Good. How can I help you today?
So you're thinking about the crazy people.
Yeah.
I guess a follow-up question on that.
Are you crazy?
And
because I say crazy people have better coitus. Do you have good coitus?
Yes.
What would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 for coitus?
Probably 7. I could do more practice. I need more practice.
You need more practice.
Yes. So if I have to find a good training partner.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So what do you need help with about the craziness?
So I realized the pattern. There's like a bunch of misanthropic men and misanthropic women. I think they call themselves incels and feminists.
Yeah.
How do we play matchmake with them? How do we get them together?
Wait, you want to get together with them?
Well, I'll train them, but yeah, how do we play matchmake with them, Mr. Fake Therapist?
Okay, so your question is, how do I get a feminist to hook up with a
incel? Yes.
With an incel.
Yes.
Or just you have to find the really good-looking incels and really good-looking feminists.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if you're good-looking enough, it doesn't really matter.
Oh, okay. And if you're not, we're just.
If you're not good-looking enough, then you're screwed. It's not going to happen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's more illusion magic then.
Yeah, well, it's not an illusion. It's like beauty is objective. Like
yeah, you're objective, but
you're objectively a good-looking guy, right? That's truth.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
But we have a thing of brain failures or optical illusions. We could probably trick the brain enough so that people look. I don't know how much better.
Yeah, it's called makeup.
Yes, it is called makeup.
That's how women trick men to making them think they're good looking using makeup. Optical illusion. You can actually change the shape of your face with makeup. Like, you know how many? You realize how many hours I spend in the makeup chair before I go live?
0.02.
Like, here, let me see if I can find a picture of me without my makeup on. Like, it's unbelievable how much time Myron spends on me. Okay, so here's me without my makeup on.
Okay.
Like, it's amazing. It's amazing how makeup can shape the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you shave your hair with makeup?
Well, this is a wig. This is
okay.
Yeah, it's to give me a sense of wisdom, experience.
It's working on me. I'm falling for it.
Yeah, it's an illusion.
No.
Yeah. So try it.
I will.
Okay.
How do you, can we get in touch with Myron, or just find our own makeup person on Craigslist?
Well, maybe I'll do a makeup tutorial someday, and that will help you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Thanks for calling in, Flamio.
Yep.
Have a Merry Christmas.
You too, Pinecreek.
Room's open, and I got to take advice from or give advice in the live stream chat. Tag me. Thank you for the donation, Big Daddy Addy. Please say this in your most Canadian accent. I have a sorry dragon in my garage. Don't you know? Eh? I'm so out of practice. Doug is an African American, but the makeup makes him Canadian. What are you? Well, I guess you can't be African American and a Canadian, but you can be black and Canadian. I used to spray tan, but too messy. Feminists and incels. They both don't have a sense of humor. If there's a feminist listening right now, please call in and tell me a joke. Dang it, Doug, I just got a therapist ad on my Facebook. Oh, wow. The algorithms have struck. Will you, Canadian Catholic, your makeup tutorial series by Looks by Myron by Christmas, Pinecreek? Will you, Canadian? Oh, yeah. No, not by Christmas. That's too soon. But we'll get to work on it. Hey, JB. JB's catching up. You hear me, JB?
Yes.
Okay. You got the other tab closed? Just keep the whereby open?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Will do.
do you want some advice from Dr. Doug today or not?
Sure.
What can
Sure. I mean, well, I'm the only one to talk to. I didn't realize that there was a therapist thing going on. Can I ask?
Well, we
you
don't.
about what
I don't have to therapize you. We can. If you have questions for me, if you want to talk about religion, are you a Christian?
Yes.
Yeah, you look like a Christian with your hairdo.
Thank you. I cut the sides of my beard though, bro. I'm slacking over here.
No. Well, okay, people can't see you, but is it okay if I show your face?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Be honest with me, live stream chat. Is this not the face of a Christian? I mean, look at that face. Look at that smile. You have a wonderful smile.
Thank you, bro. I will tell my mother.
Do you have a wife yet?
No.
Would you like one?
Yeah.
Okay. If there's any Christians listening, email me and I'll hook you up with JB. Are you crazy, JB? That's what everyone wants to know first. Are you a crazy Christian?
You mean like fundamentalist? Oh, well, I believe in hell. You know, eternal.
Okay, so you are crazy.
Like,
so that means you're good at coitus. So any Christian woman
I'm
listening, email me and I'll hook you up with GB. I say J, it's GB. And he's crazy. He's a fundamentalist, and you're probably really good in the hammock.
Well, I appreciate the offer that I'm spoken for, but I do have plenty of questions that I want to ask you about.
Oh, you're spoken for already. You have a serious girlfriend?
Yeah.
Oh, all the Christian women in here are now disappointed. You should at least let the lustful thoughts go a little longer.
All right, man.
Okay,
so
what's your questions to me?
So I talked to Matt Dillhunty a long time ago.
I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure I brought this up to you. It was better than I thought it was going to be. And so one of the things that the book of Revelation says is that when God pours his like wrath on the earth, people are still going to refuse to repent. But I'm kind of wondering because, Doug, if you were seeing hailstones falling from the sky and demons like locusts biting people and refusing to let them die for like 6 months, at some point I think you're going to be like, all right, I give up. It's not worth
Amen.
fighting that anymore.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. I agree.
Good. That's good. But why don't you think so? If another person was to say, but Doug, that's wrong. Although yes, we are choosing the side that gives us comfort, morally we are bowing to a tyrant. At least that's what Matt was telling me. So he would say that morally that's not the actually good choice to make.
Well, are you
But
okay in this scenario? Are you saying the God himself is sending all these bad things?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I see Matt's point, but there's still something called self-preservation. So if someone is poking me with a hot rod, at some point I'm going to lie to get them to stop. But then this God would know that, right? So I'm kind of stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do whatever this God wants me to do to make the pain go away, but I probably won't mean it. So I guess I just suffer.
Well, I don't know. That's another thing that I had to ask you. Growing up as a Protestant, I've been challenged by like my views on salvation because of the Orthodox and the Catholic Church. They were here way before I was, and they definitely harp on the idea of doing good works, So I guess in your opinion, like how do you view salvation as far as like the Bible is concerned? Because we were probably taught the same thing, right? Salvation by faith alone.
Well, I think isn't there a
alone.
scripture in the New Testament that says salvation is a mystery? But salvation in the New Testament has many views. One of them is that God regenerates those that are elect, and then they are saved, not by works, but merely by this gift, this grace. Other views are that you have to confess with your mouth that Jesus Christ is Lord, take up your cross and follow him, which is more the works part, and that you are free to reject him. And then if you want to go to the atonement type stuff, it's like Jesus was the perfect sacrifice and needed a sinless sacrifice as an example from the Old Testament sacrifices. And without this perfect sacrifice, the sins of the world cannot be atoned for. Other people say, no, this not. You don't need this sacrifice, but it was an example of being a victory over sin. So Christians differ on what that means. Did I summarize the basics correctly, you think?
Yeah, I think you did. You summarized that there's a lot. there's
I summarized it's a mess.
I went
right? It's a mess.
I don't know. I don't want to say anything else besides that.
What type of Christian are you currently? Okay. What do you believe?
I'm not a Catholic or an Orthodox, although I want to be. I can't do the Mary stuff, bro. I can't. The veneration just hits so.
If she was a little better looking, I could do it.
I don't have a problem calling her the Mother of God. That's very clearly what she is. But I mean, when you look at the veneration of the saints practiced in Orthodoxy and Catholicism, how can it not be idolatry? We're literally making statues and bowing to them, right? Like, isn't that? Yeah.
But let's talk about the core basics.
Okay.
Do you believe that Jesus is God?
Yes.
Why?
I believe he said and did things that only God would do,
Like?
He called himself the Lord of the Sabbath, right? That's a big deal. But even if I was to go to a different example, the usage of the Son of Man, right? I'm sure his Jewish audience understood what the Book of Enoch was. Okay. And if they read what... Oh, yeah.
Okay. I asked you why you believe Jesus is God, and you said because he said so, and because he did the things a God would do.
Mm-hmm.
If you and I found this book that, let's say, predates Christianity, and it says Bob is God, would you believe it?
I would read it and I would carefully consider what it says. And I would like to offer the benefit of the doubt to whatever's the
Really,
narrative.
you would give the benefit of the doubt of a guy named Bob saying he's God. Bob God.
Yes, because depending on what even he means by the word God, it could be entirely different from what I mean.
The
So
creator
if
God of
that
the
means
universe, that before anything he was.
okay, never mind.
And,
No, I would.
And what
I
if
would.
Bob said, I am God, and here I'm going to show it. So we're reading this, right? Bob says, I am God, and to show this, I will demonstrate my power as God over the weather. And he takes a storm and he makes it calm. But it's all in words, right? It's written down and we're reading. Would you for a second think this is God, really?
I would say I would not have doubted his abilities. That's the one thing that
You would not have doubted a guy could calm the storms?
No, because very clearly the apostles and Jesus himself said that many will come after him, even deceiving people through the signs and miracles. So he would be a demonstration of actually fulfilled prophecy in that case.
Wait a minute. Where do you live? You live in the United States, right?
Yes.
Okay. You're a normal American man with a smile on his face. If your neighbor were to tell you that it was hailing and he prayed as God to stop the hail and it stopped immediately, and then he said, okay, now I want it to snow, and then it snowed. Like, if you would hear a story like that, you wouldn't believe it, would you?
I would believe it, but I would severely be wary of that person because I was told that the people who do these kinds of things and do not give glory to God are being instructed by demonic spirits.
Okay, but what if this guy said, but what if this guy said, be wary of the New Testament because it says that Jesus was God, but really I'm the real God?
Initially I would not want to have anything to do with that person, but if I was to at least hear them out, I would hear them out. I would hear out like, so what if you are God? What was going on during the 2,000 years? Was it? I think that's only fair, right? You okay? Hey, you've given me information that's rocking my world upside down. Can you please just give me? Can you give me more? I want to at least hear you out.
But there's like this huge fundamental divide between you and me, because if someone says I did X, and X is, let's say, walking on water or commanding the weather, I wouldn't believe it for 1 second unless I saw it with my own eyes, and even then I would need to verify I'm not going nuts. I mean, but you would believe it. Really?
I have definitely come a long way. I think if you were to ask me a year and a half ago, my mind has completely changed on a lot of things biblically. But yes, to answer your question, yes, I don't find it hard. I believe in a world that spirits interact with people.
So you would believe it. Okay, you see my pen here?
Yes.
What's the better explanation for this? My pen is being pulled by this thing called gravity, or that a demon pulled it out of my hands and ripped it down to the ground?
I'm going to go with the first one, although I don't even know what gravity really
See,
is.
now we're back. Now you and I are simpatico. Now we're the same.
Okay.
The more likely explanation is that the gravity is just pulling this down, right? Rather than a demon pulling it down. So now let me ask, what's more likely, that men write stories to say that they're God and that they do these miracles, which is like gravity? That's a very naturalistic explanation. Or that the person really was God and really did walk on water and did these miracles, which would be like Satan pulling it down. Which is more likely in that case?
Well, yes, the first part then.
Yeah, it's more likely people write up stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's more likely that people can write up stories that are not true, then isn't it more likely that Jesus isn't God and didn't walk on water and didn't multiply the loaves and fishes?
People do make up stories, but the real question is the document or the source that they're presenting, is it claiming to be reality, right? And that's the difference between, like, I would say, like the Bible and something like Harry Potter or something, right?
Can a text claim to be reality and be false?
Yes, but there should be other. Yes. To answer the question, yes, you can still have a fake story, but
so isn't it more likely that a book that claims to be representing reality of a man claiming to be God and doing these miracles, isn't it still more likely that this is false in a story? Maybe hyperbole? Maybe flat out lies for some type of greater good?
I would I would understand why someone would be skeptical, but I would still say no. If there are multiple sources, right? And that's what I view the Bible as being. Multiple separate sources that are all agreeing on fundamental things, right? The existence of Jesus, the crucifixion
When you
of
say
Jesus,
multiple
the
sources,
resurrection.
you mean independent sources.
Yes.
If you didn't have that, would you be less likely to believe it?
Oh yeah, I think those things all work together to strengthen, I think, people's faith. I
Okay,
think God
this is
allows
good.
those
We
things
found a
to happen.
marker in your life. We found a marker.
Okay.
You might want to lie down for this part. Oh, you're in a car. You want
Oh,
to put your seat
boy.
back? Okay. Do you believe in the traditional authorship of the New Testament, like that Matthew wrote Matthew, Mark wrote Mark?
Yeah. Until I see reasons otherwise.
Okay. So you believe in the traditional authorship of the New Testament. Did Paul know Luke?
It says at some point that they all rode together someplace. I
Yeah,
would
they
assume,
rode
right?
together.
Right?
Yeah. Like they went traveling together. Did Peter know Mark?
I know Paul knew Mark, and he didn't like him. I don't know if Peter.
Well,
knew
the
Mark.
traditional
I'm
authorship would
assuming
say
he did,
that
right?
Mark got his information from Peter. That's what the Roman Catholics say.
Wait a minute. Isn't Mark supposed to be the naked guy literally in the garden? So he was actually a first-hand
Well,
account.
some
according
people
to
say that, but
tradition.
you can't really get that from the text. But the point I'm making is Mark knew Peter, Luke knew Paul, and Matthew and John knew each other because they were both disciples, right? So they all knew each other. It's like, it'd be like my poker buddies getting together and writing a book. We all talked, walked together, did things together. So let me ask you this. Are these really independent sources?
Yes, I would say that there's another part that makes it independent.
What's that?
What about the heretics, right? Even the heretics agree, the Gnostics, they agree on key things that the apostles did. So as long as the subject that we're talking about is building, like an accurate picture of the history that happened during that time, it seems that even the heretics and the non-heretics at least agreed Jesus Christ was crucified, he rose from the dead, stuff like that. Like I'm sure we can go detour into
Right,
other
but we're
things,
talking.
that was my
But there's a
main
difference
point.
between beliefs and things actually happening, right? People can believe false things, but it's really hard for someone who was in the know. Like I think you would say, Peter was there, Paul was there. Well, not really, but Matthew, John were there, right? But if you're saying that one of the reasons why you think that it's true, that the core propositions claims are true, is because we have multiple independent sources, we don't. These guys were all buddies. So we could actually come up with a hypothesis that was a conspiracy theory. Maybe 4, 5, 6 guys got together and said, let's create this religion, make some coin.
Did they make coin?
Oh, yes, they made coin.
You think so? Everything that I've been told is like they're like, oh, reject the material world.
Oh,
Those who
yeah.
are, James says, those who have money, it's like flames, right? You're gonna be burning in hell.
What? Someone in live stream chat can bring the verses up that I'm thinking of, but in a couple of spots, Paul goes out of his way to say, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm not doing this for the money, which tells us that there was the accusation back then that he was doing it for the money, because he's protesting so much that I'm not. I just care about Jesus and salvation. And so there's a red flag for you right there, that maybe Paul was doing it for the money. And it would make sense, right? He opened it up to the Gentiles. It's like you got a whole new breed of people, a whole new source of income. If you just kept it closed to the Jews, I mean, that limits the amount of money you can make.
Well, if Paul's words are to be taken, seriously. I do believe that he was also a worker by his hands. He worked with his hands to make sure that no one could accuse him that he was robbing people, and using the church's money.
Yeah, and
That's good.
Mitesh Patel in the live stream chat also reminded me of something that in multiple occasions Paul says, I'm not lying, which tells me that back then there was accusations that he's lying.
Mm-hmm.
So people who
Yes.
could verify whether Paul was out for the money or lying, the fact that Paul himself defends himself, feels the need to defend himself, says those accusations were out there and that maybe those accusations were true. But let's get back to the independent witness thing, because do you respect J. Warner Wallace?
Jay Warner, I've heard that name somewhere. Where
Okay, so
is
the
that
answer is
from?
no. But J. Warner Wallace is an apologist who is a detective. Does any of this ring a bell?
No.
No? Okay. He's a detective by trade, and he will tell you as a Christian that the best way to get to the truth of a historical event is to separate the witness. Separate them. Don't let them talk to each other. And then what you do is, so if there's a car accident, you don't get the witnesses, you put them far, far away, and then you ask one witness what happened, and then you ask the other witness what happened. This is the exact opposite of the New Testament. In the New Testament, especially if you assume the traditional authorship, the witnesses weren't separated. It's like people are all together talking and being friends. And it's clear if you read Matthew and Luke that they're both using Mark as a source. That's the opposite of separating the witnesses. It's like, hey, tell me what you heard. Okay, yeah, some of that I'm going to keep and write down for myself. I'm going to change a few things here and there. This is called the synoptic problem. So if you believe that the claims are historically valid based on multiple independent accounts, you don't have it.
Well, okay.
You want me to send you a gift card for your agnosticism atheist? Like $10 at Applebee's.
More than anything, I guess I would want to ask you what is the term I'm looking for then. So if I believe because of the gospel accounts, right? And I believe that, yeah, sure, they weren't independent, right? So they're together. So at that point, what would you call that then? It's just accounts, right? It's just.
Yeah, stories, yeah.
Right. Well, I believe it. It seems to make sense that 2,000 years ago there was a man, right? There, based on all these references, there was at least a man who lived so mightily, so humbly, that he rocked the ancient world, right? To the point that even the religious people during that time didn't want.
Okay, but now we've gone from someone saying I am God and doing miracles to he was an amazing man who rocked the world.
Mm-hmm.
Bon Jovi was an amazing man who rocked the world.
True.
Have you heard his music? I mean, in the 80s.
I can't get away from it.
In the 80s, women worshipped him.
Yeah.
They would tear their clothes off with him. I mean, Muhammad rocked the world, changed the world, so they say.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean they're God, and that doesn't mean they did any miracles.
Well,
my guess is you rock your girlfriend's world too.
What I would say is, like, no one's denying Muhammad and Bon Jovi existed is the problem, right? I feel like it's just not. We're not playing fair, right? We're not playing by the same rules. Because yes, I get your point, but still, we still believe that the Bibles at least give us some eye into reality, right?
But
because
if you're
it's like these things don't happen out of
right,
nowhere.
Okay, that's fine. But most stories are based on some type of reality. Like, to lower your bar to say that Jesus actually existed in history, you're saying almost nothing.
Well, the problem is, though, when we ask ourselves, well, okay, we admit Jesus exists in history. Who is Jesus? Well, the historical records claim that not only was he a preacher, he was a healer and he rose from the dead, right? The problem is that we are dividing our sources to accept what is actually reality and what is not, based on my own,
Right, but that's very fair to do so, right? Like, we do it all the time. I don't think you doubt my existence very much, right? But if I told you that I walked on, like literally walked on my pool in the backyard with no tricks, you wouldn't believe that for 1 second, would you? I hope not.
It just depends. It really depends on certain things.
Like, and then if someone was listening to our conversation, and let's say you did doubt that I walked on my pool, someone would say, but GB, like, Doug actually exists. We got evidence that he's here. I mean, you wouldn't say for 1 second, oh, okay, yeah, now he walked on his pool.
That's not the same thing.
It is the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. Just because Jesus was a preacher in the Essene movement who had a following and walked in sandals from town to town doesn't mean he multiplied loaves and fishes and walked on water and cast out demons.
Hey, wait a minute. Didn't you say that Paul was being accused of stealing money? So if Jesus is being accused of multiplying bread and fishes, why can't we apply that same argument there?
Oh, very good. I would say because we have many examples in history of people doing things for money, and we have very few examples in history, if at all, of people walking on water, multiplying loaves and fishes, like for real, not just trickery, right? That's very reasonable to say that. We know through history that people have used their power, they've used their influence, they've used their charisma to sucker people out of money. We know this. But do we really know that someone can take one loaf of bread and make, like, say, 1 pound of bread and make 100 pounds just by speaking it? No. So it's very reasonable for me to say this about Paul, and I think very unreasonable for you to say that about Jesus. Does that seem reasonable?
I understand your unbelief, or your disbelief. I think that's part of the point, right? Because if it happened all the time, it wouldn't really be.
Okay, you understand my disbelief, but I want to understand your belief, because everything you've told me so far of why you believe, I think you've almost admitted that the disciples weren't really independent of each other. They kind of all knew each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it is more likely that, like with the pen example, that it's not a demon doing these things. It's like just law of gravity. So what's the real reason why you believe this stuff?
No, I would say when at the very least when I was a kid, when someone gave me the gospel, right, for the first time, I didn't understand everything about it, but the details about it, like Jesus dying for my sins, part of me just believed it. I was like, yeah, that sounds right? That sounds right.
It sounds right.
So, sounded right. And from there, when I looked at the evidence, I found that it did confirm.
Name a religion that you deem false.
False how? What do you mean by false?
Name a religion you think is a false religion.
False religion meaning that the God behind it is a demon, right? Not necessarily that he doesn't exist.
Okay.
Okay, good. Well, in that case, none of them are false. Most of them aren't false in the sense that like they were just made up, right? Most of the Bible tells us, especially like if we're reading like the book of Enoch, right? The false religions of the world have a true God behind every one of them. But the whole point is that they want your worship because they want to steal it.
Okay, let's be very specific. Mormonism. Are you familiar with Mormonism?
A bit, yes.
Joseph Smith claims in a diary that Jesus and Moroni appeared to him and said that the gospel of the evangelical Christianity at the time was false and that Jesus needed to give him a new gospel, a new and improved gospel. So here's a claim in history that Jesus appeared to Joseph. And then we have Mormons who say, well, when I hear these stories and I read the diaries, it just seems to me to be true. That's what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's a good way to arrive at the fact that Mormonism is true?
Yeah, I would say that you do feel like it's true, and the reason why is because you're being lied to by deceiving spirits. And I would show them where Paul said, even if an angel of light comes to you and gives you another gospel, which is literally what's happening, consider them accursed, right? And so I would warn them. I would say, hey, you were warned 2,000 years ago ahead of time. Don't fall for this trick.
Okay, but you just said that if a Mormon says, I believe this is true because it seems to me to be true after I read it, and you said that's a good way of coming to know that this is true.
I would say if it wasn't for God warning you, you would have been absolutely damned, right? It's like you're just like there's no way to convince you. Like if you literally see angels and you tell this story to other people that will also believe in it, you have no choice at that point. You as God have to warn your people, right? And I believe he did.
So you would say
So
it's true, but it's they're deceived.
yes.
Okay, how do you know you're not deceived? That maybe what the gospel you believe in is not from the devil.
I would say because it's backed up by the life of Jesus, right? Like the actual life of Jesus, the life that history, has
But that was part
recorded
of the
for us.
deception. Like Satan actually got these men to write these stories to make them sound perfect, but really Jesus went to the brothels twice a week. He used the Lord's name in vain, but Satan deceived men to write these stories to say that he didn't do these things. He was a perfect man, sinless. How do you know that's not the case? If there's this real satanic world and demonic influence, how do you know that the authors of the New Testament weren't under that influence?
Well, that's a great question. In a way, I actually think that the Bible explicitly deals with that because that's the sin that Jesus tells the Pharisees they will never be forgiven for, right? When they attribute his miracles to the work of demons, he condemns them after that. So one could say that no one who has God, right, could do only the person who has God could do these things, right? And especially on top of that, all the fulfilled prophecies about Jesus that have been waiting for him for like thousands of years. It's more than just one thing. There are
Satan
other
did all
stacks of.
that. Satan orchestrated all those prophecies. He orchestrated, like he's powerful, right? He can deceive people. Yeah.
Mhm.
He's behind all of it.
There does have to be a way to distinguish it.
Yeah.
I don't know
How would we?
outside of using God's word. I don't know how there could be because
But God's word
if a
itself
literal-
is part of the demonic attack.
Oh, so it's like just okay. Well, I mean, at that point, I would at least be willing to listen if someone really wanted to build a case. But to me, it's hard to build a case that this was all Satan's plan from the beginning.
Like you think I'm kind of just doing this weird hypothetical, but there's Orthodox Jews who actually view some of the writings, at least of the New Testament, as demonic, as so bad, so deceptive. So I'm not just making this up. Like there's people out there in the world today who actually view what you believe as being the forces of the devil working against you. And you've been suckered into believing it.
True. You're right. You're right. They do believe that. And I think there is a way to answer it. Although I just definitely don't know right now.
Have you ever seen a demon?
Me and an atheist friend have believed that we both saw demons on separate drug trips, I think. So yes, I would say yes.
On drug trips?
Well, if I have it confirmed with another atheist that he was like, I had the same experience, man, I'm thinking that we probably did see them.
If someone does drugs, this is why you're smiling so much. I now figured that part out. But but if two people do drugs and one sees a demon and the other one doesn't, or if they both see demons and one sees a real demon and one sees a fake demon, it's just their imagination, how would you tell the difference between like the two drug addicts?
Don't know. I honestly don't. At that point, it would just be weird. But it's weird that they both have the same experience, right? That's the weird part.
Not really.
No, okay. Earlier when you were talking, I just want to say, it makes me happy that you still host the show. I don't know why you keep doing it, but I'm glad you did, and I'm really glad to know that once the fire starts coming down on you, you will repent. I'm glad. I'm glad.
Oh my goodness. Are you looking forward to that fire coming down on me?
Dude, I've been being so challenged with that because today it literally says that the saints are crying out, how long will you wait, oh God, until you avenge our souls, right? Like God wants to be patient. He wants to be patient. He doesn't want to bring judgment. And the saints are righteously asking for God to bring judgment, which means the destruction of the earth, which means possibly Doug's salvation. So maybe, yeah, right?
You know what? I'm going to try one more thing with you before I
Okay.
give up on this hopeless pursuit.
I'm sorry, bro.
Don't apologize. This is fun, actually, but kind of hopeless. I have this poof or drown question that I often ask. And have you ever heard it?
Poof or drown? No.
No. Okay. But I want to put all my cards on the table. The purpose of this thought experiment is to pit your moral intuitions against God's. In other words, I want you to be in conflict with God. So you might be viewing me as a demon here, but here it goes. So you're up in heaven with God, and this is in the days of Noah. But you don't know what's going to happen, but God comes up to you and says, "You see all those people down there, GB? Oh, they're terrible. Bunch of idiots, except for Noah and his family. Well, Noah especially. So what I'm thinking, GB, is wiping them all out except for Noah and his family. But I'm thinking two different ways I could do this. One is I can flood them, drown them, the women, the children, the younglings. They will be knocking on the door, begging to come onto the ark, a big boat, but no, they're going to be tossed and turned by the waves, and eventually the water will fill their lungs. People of all shapes and sizes and ages will die the death of drowning. That's option one, GB. Option two is I'm just going to go and poof them out of existence like I Dream of Genie. You're too young for that show, but he's just going to poof. They won't see it coming. They're just gone. It's sort of like Thanos, right? Except faster. So those are the two options, and both are moral options because God himself is giving these options to you for you to decide what to do, how to execute his justice. What do you say to God? Poof or drown?
Yes. Yeah, poof. Yeah, my initial answer would be poof. That seems the most logical one at first, right?
Why poof? Why is it logical?
It's not messy, takes care of the problem immediately. And if it was presented as an actual option, I just see why not. Can it literally be done that fast? Sure, why not?
Okay, so you would go with poof, and I would too.
Yes.
So we are alike that way. But now you learn that God being God, he can do whatever he wants. He ignored your advice, and he went with drown. He drowned children, mothers, evil men, but even the children with the evil men. He drowned everybody. And then when you find this out, you're playing PlayStation in your room in heaven, but you find this out, you go running to your daddy's room, Yahweh, and you say, why did you do that? What do you think he'll say?
Wait a minute. I have what do I think he'll say? I want to answer that question, but Doug, you know why he fell to the earth, right? I mean, you've read the book of Enoch.
He fled the earth because of their unrighteousness.
Yeah. So, okay. So if you were alive during the time of Noah, when he was building the ark, and you didn't want to get in the ark, something was very wrong with you. Because if we look at what the Bible says, or at least the scriptures that were detailing how that world was working, so like the angels in heaven had babies with women, right? And the babies that were produced from these became giants. And it says that once
I'm not
they
disagreeing
devoured
with any
all
of that,
the
GB. I'm not disagreeing with any of it.
Right. But if it says that once they ate everything, they turned to eat people, right? And if God is preparing Noah, this righteous man, to build a way to be rescued from it, and if people refuse to go in, despite the fact that the world that they're living in has giants that are consuming people and everything off the face of the earth, which is the reason why God is coming to
Why
flood
didn't he
it.
poof them?
That's a good question. But
That's
something
the
has
question
to be
I'm
very
asking.
wrong with you to not. But considering that, you'd have to ask yourself, why wasn't there more people, right? Why didn't more people want to escape from this horrible world, right? That's the question I'm wondering, right?
GB, I'm putting my cards on the table here. I'm appealing to your sense of the moral intuitions that you believe I think God gave you. Why would God... There was children back then, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any brothers, sisters, cousins Any friends that have 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds?
No, but I mean, my brothers and my cousins could very much just be that in my eyes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just
Can you imagine God drowning them?
it would be a hard sight to see, but the Bible says we're worthy of it. You know.
Okay, but
Um,
we're worthy of justice, but God came to you and said, hey, I could just poof them. They're gone. These giants that you talk about, these evil giants, like, poof them too. But at least we poof the children, the babies. Like, what harm have they done? Why should they be tortured by drowning?
Well, if the option to poof them away was present, I would be wondering why God didn't choose it. But the truth is that the Bible doesn't record that that even actually was an option, right? But if anything, the option was that God is going to bring judgment without a doubt. Why did he wait more than a day? Right? That's the real question that I wonder. Is like, why did he give us any time for repentance and mercy at all? Right? That's the part that boggles my mind. So I can totally see how we can look at the same story and just come across it with whole different perspectives, right?
But a God of the universe who's you believe he's omniscient, right? He can see all things. You would think the option of poofing would enter his personal mind.
Yes.
And he looked at that option. He said, no, I'm going to drown children instead.
Oh, like so, basically we're talking Sodom and Gomorrah type of punishment, right? Instantaneous, like that kind of thing.
What do you think of what would you think of me if I told you my kids were really bad in my eyes and I'm going to drown them?
I would say, oh, I'd be horrified, right? You'd hope that.
Why aren't you horrified that your God did that? Or are you horrified that your God did that?
Sometimes I don't think I've fully grasped like the gravity of the flood, right?
Well, we are now. We're grasping the gravity of the flood right in this conversation. Like really imagine this as a fact of history, because you believe this is a fact of history, right?
Mm.
Yeah. And that your God not just allowed this, but actively did it, right? So you worship a God who actively takes toddlers and drowns them.
You say actively if he does it like every other week. He did it once and he said he wouldn't do it again, right? But it does serve as a sign.
Wait a minute, he will do it again. Right? You yourself brought this up when you mentioned Revelation.
Oh, I meant specifically drowning, to drowning.
Right. So drowning in the Old Testament and fire in the New Testament. Instead of drowning, he's going to burn them next time.
Okay.
Right?
Right. So yeah, but he's keeping to his word. He's still keeping to his word in that context.
But this bothers you, yes? Can you admit that?
I think there are days when it bothers me more than others, right?
Does it bother you right now?
At this moment, no. At this moment, because that's one of the other things that I wanted to talk to you about was like why eternity has to be so bad, or like why the punishment has to be eternal rather than finite at all.
Another good question. Yeah.
Do you think that maybe the logic at least checks out? Because if God is eternal, right, by nature, then his punishment has to also be eternal.
Why?
By nature, right? Why?
Well, how does that logic fit? Like think about an ant. You and I are Homo sapiens, and look at ants. Like an ant compared to us is nothing as far as the intellect, the power, what we can do, how we can think. Do you think I have any desire to torture an ant forever? Or set up a system where ants will be burned forever? I mean, no. I wouldn't care. The more infinite and powerful I am, the less I'm going to care about the ants. Well, Doug, you're a just human, so look at the sins that these ants have done. I mean, I would say to myself, I am so big, I am so mighty, that even their sins doesn't bother me, because they're nothing. Those ants are nothing. They can't hurt me. So why do I want to hurt them?
Okay, this is where I would say that maybe the problem is that you're actually not that good if you don't care about the injustice happening from one end. Because they do enslave each other. I know that, right? It's a fact that
Okay, yeah, yeah.
ants
Okay,
enslave other
you're
ants.
right. You're right. So I see an ant, a bunch of ants destroy my dog's doghouse or something. Okay, I'll punish those.
And enslaving other ants
Yeah,
too.
I'll punish them, but I'm not going to burn them forever. Like, what's the use of that?
Okay. So, I mean, it's a question that I'm trying to ask myself too. Like, why does it have to be eternal? Maybe it has to be eternal because God is eternal, right? Imagine maybe this world is just God's
Or
mercy,
maybe
right?
it's an
Like
excuse to justify a horrible act. And you've heard this from an apologist, and you think, okay, I don't like hell, but if I say God's eternal, therefore hell has to be eternal, I can sort of, it helps the medicine go down. Maybe that's what's happening.
Well, it's one thing that I'm trying to consider all the options. I'm not trying to dismiss all of them, but it does make sense that if this world, okay, if God is this all-encompassing spirit who made the universe, he's huge. He's bigger than I can even really realize. And if basically is like he is the reality, right? He is, without him there is no reality, there is no universe. So if I was to experience God in his fullness, right, I could imagine how to experience him in just his fullness is literally to endure his wrath forever, or to endure his mercy forever, something like that, right? I'm not trying to go outside of any rules. I'm just trying to work within the limitations that the Bible
Would
gives
you give
us.
up heaven for me?
Paul says he wishes.
I don't care what Paul
himself
said.
a person.
I care about what you say.
Hey, well, Paul says to imitate him as he
If you
imitates
and I,
Christ. So I'll say yes.
if you and I died in a car crash together, and we both go to hell or go to the judgment seat or whatever at the same time, and Jesus looks at us, and Jesus says, "Hey, GB, you're in. Pinecreek, you're out. But I'm willing to make a one-time deal of if you give up heaven for Doug, you both will be annihilated. Just poof, you're both gone. You won't go to hell, but I won't go to hell. You won't go to heaven, and I won't go to heaven. We're just gone. But if you don't take the deal, then you go to heaven forever, and Doug goes to hell forever. Would you take the deal?"
Yes, I would take the deal.
That's because
We
you're a
don't
good
want anyone
person,
to-
GB. You're way better than your God.
Hey, there are Christians that believe the Bible teaches that. I haven't heard their arguments yet. It seems they're
Yeah,
very, very hard to
Conditionalists, yeah.
But that's to say, you never know, man. There's some stuff. I mean, sometimes I wish the Orthodox are right because they believe in such a much more gracious afterlife for unbelievers. They literally believe that we can pray you out of hell or out of certain things. So
Let me try one. Okay,
like,
I tried the historical approach. It didn't work with you. I tried the emotional approach. It kind of worked with you. I could see it in your eyes that you were a little uncomfortable with the poof or drown, and then with the heaven thing. I'm hearing something in the background. Do you have a kid with you?
that was a dog.
Oh,
Sorry.
a dog. There was one approach I was going to try with you, but now I forget what it was. Maybe it wasn't important.
Those birds snatching those seeds out of the air, right?
Yeah. Oh, here it is. I remember now. You believe God created everything, including us, right? Ultimately. And you believe that God knows the future? Yes?
Yes.
And you believe God has free will?
Yes.
Okay. So if God knew that I would reject him freely, and if God could have chosen not to create me, why did he create me?
Oh, such a profound question. All throughout the scriptures, we're told it would have been better for them to have not been born. So why did they exist in the first place? I don't know, but it literally says it would have been better for you to have not been born.
So you don't judge your God at all for that? That every person who goes to hell, they're going to hell because God created them?
Partly, yes. They
Partly?
are. Without God.
No, the buck stops at the top. God's the creator of the universe. It's not partly. Now, God knew what I would freely choose, but still, he could have chosen to not create a person who freely chooses to reject him.
Well, Catholics would disagree with you. They would say that we do partly we co-reign with Christ.
No, no, no,
We
no, no. If you believe in the omniscience of God,
Mhm.
and I guess you have to believe in like a set future, like God knows one future, and the future is Doug will reject him, then you're done. You're toast. God is morally responsible for me going to hell because he could have chosen not to create me.
I I disagree. I think that if you are a person that was given any chance to repent, including a fair warning, that's on you. At that point, you have to
But
take responsibility that you didn't even obey your conscience, right? Like your own conscience speaks against you that we've all well,
but did I choose to be born?
no, but you and I both willingly chose to betray our conscience at some point in our life. We did
But God
something
knew
that we
that would
knew we
happen,
shouldn't
right?
have. Yes, yes.
So he could have avoided all that by not creating me.
Yes.
Yeah. So not only do you believe in a God that drowns babies and toddlers, not only do you believe that God sends people or creates a system where people end up in hell, but you believe that God could have chosen not to create so nobody would go to hell. So your God's responsible for the pain and suffering here on earth and pain and suffering for in the afterlife. And now, why do you worship this God?
Well, because despite all that, I would say he's still merciful, right? He's merciful to those who are willing to repent, and that I would say is huge, considering how much he hates sin, right? Considering how he has to look at sin 24/7, right? Because he knows everything. That's the craziest part about it is that he knows
What percentage of people,
every detail of
I
everything.
know this is a guess and nobody knows for sure, but what percentage of people that have ever lived do you think will go to heaven?
Dude, this is such a cool question. All right, I think it may be possible, right, that it will be a 99-to-1 ratio of people that are in heaven compared to those who are in hell. There is a way, though. The math has to work out this way, though. Jesus has to wait long enough so that the population on the earth will have exceeded far the amount that we had of any human population in the past, right? So at some point, I think it is possible, right? I think, especially with things like nuclear power, like making breakthroughs, like the ability to like I guess support like an unfathomable amount of people that can eventually become Christians is still on the table to the point where it just eclipses those people that are in hell. It's still possible. I think it is.
Matthew 7,
But the gospel has to succeed, and the Bible says it will.
Matthew,
We just need a large amount of people to be converted, and enough that it can change it.
can I read some scripture to you? Matthew 7:13-14.
Maybe it froze. Did it freeze? No way.
I can still hear you. Am I gone for you? Oh no. Straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. So the correct answer, GB, is that the vast majority of people will not go to heaven. Thus the reading of his word. Oh well. It was fun while it lasted. Hey, Brad. Can you hear me, Brad? Going, gone. JL. Josh. Hi, Josh.
Hey, Pine.
How are you?
Good. How are you? I didn't think you would. Hold on. Let me get in my car. I didn't think you would get.
Yeah, your internet's very spotty right now.
Oh, I was just listening to.
We'll see if he comes back.
Hello?
Yeah, you're back.
Hello? Cool.
Do you want advice? Do you want me to lead you away from Christianity or Islam or something? Or do you want me to make you a conservative? What do you want me to do today?
No, I just want to say I'm a fan.
Okay.
Yeah, I watch your videos. I'm an LDS. I'm, still LDS, very active.
Ah, did you see the
But I'm a little
video?
nervous.
Did you see the video with me and Marty?
Not yet.
Because she's
Not yet.
an ex LDS.
Oh, yes. It was a late night, right? It was one late night video.
Yeah, late night.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw like the end of it, not all of it, not too much.
So may I ask you why you believe? Do you believe the Church of Latter-day Saints is the core propositions is true?
Yes.
And I'm curious to know why you think it's true.
I grew up in the church. I mean, I've been through everything. I think.
But is the
To
fact
me,
that you grew up in
at this point in my life, I think it just makes sense to me. Everything makes sense. I mean, there's really nothing. I mean, if you're asking if I have a testimony of it, yeah, I do.
Well, when I asked you why you think it's true, you mentioned I grew up in the church and it makes sense to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, somebody who grows up in the church, kind of gets their information, kind of little by little, and you really have people. I would say people like me would have to really have to go deep and look for, like you said, propositions, stuff like that.
Do you think Islam is true?
But no, I would say no.
So if there was a Muslim here right now and I asked them, why do you believe Islam is true? And they say, well, I grew up in the mosques and Islam makes sense to me. Would you say those are good reasons to say Islam is true?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I would say it's not true and I don't believe in it, but I don't think it's a bad religion.
Right, but would you say those are good reasons to give for saying that Islam is true?
Oh. No, I mean, you would have to go down into detail.
Okay.
Like you're asking me, what do I believe the core propositions are true? We can break it down, and say.
What's the biggest core proposition of Mormonism? Was it that Joseph Smith actually heard from Jesus or God?
That Joseph Smith restored the true gospel of Jesus Christ.
Okay, and why do you believe that's true?
Oof. Well, I think like we say is like you gotta believe. We start with like reading the Book of Mormon. We start with believing in that Joseph Smith actually did these things, right? So to me, looking through the Book of Mormon, reading it, praying about it, that would to me make it true.
But don't Muslims do the same thing? They read the Quran, they start believing it, they accept that Muhammad was a prophet.
Yeah, but yet, the way I see it is there is this knowledge, right, in the world, in the universe, that is connected to truth, and is connected to this big source of truth, right? And I'm sure you've talked about this with others, but I think that we have a direct line for that truth, here in our church, in our gospel.
But I'm still unclear why you believe it's true. Like, can you give me a specific example? Like you mentioned reading the Book of Mormon and praying about it. Is that it, or?
No, I mean, like I said, to me, the church is all in my life. It's not just the Book of Mormon, but it's.
It's a culture.
The culture, the whole establishment of the church, the history and all that. I would say I've seen it all. I would say,
Okay, yeah, and it probably has done a lot of great things for you, right?
yeah.
So I guess
It's been a big part of my life.
yeah. So I guess my next question would be, given that it's done great things and is a big part of your life, does it really matter to you if it's true or not?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
For example, the conversation you're having with the guy that just disconnected. I when I see those things, of course, to me, I wouldn't immediately, start doubting or, getting away from believing like yourself. The way you have to hold it and then really learn and look into it. So for me, you talk about why God would kill and flood, the flood and just murder everyone, you say. And to me, it's like, if I were to put the knowledge that I know that we have in the church, it makes sense. It makes sense why, not why it's done like that. Why it's okay in the sense of, like, I was just watching your older videos, that we believe we don't believe in hell, pretty much, in the traditional sense, right?
Right.
So we don't think that those people will necessarily burn and go to hell and suffer, you know what I mean? There's a justice there.
Well, let me ask you this. If I had a friend who came
there's more to it, but I just can't explain it right now. But yeah, go ahead.
If I had a friend who came up to me and said, "Hey, Doug, I know the LDS church is false," and I go, well, "How do you know this?" Because Jesus came to me last night in a dream. Actually, it was more than a dream. He was actually there. I thought it was a dream at first, but I touched him. There was an angel there with him, and he said that the Church of Latter-day Saints is a false religion, and I've come here to, they got some things right, but I've come here to set the record straight.
Mm-hmm.
Would you believe that person?
No.
Why not?
No, I was saying, I would ask them, what else, what do you plan on doing? How does that really change? Or
Well, let's take one thing at a time. When I asked you, would you believe that actually happened in history, where Jesus and an angel appeared before my friend and told him the Church of Latter-day Saints is a false gospel, and I am God, and I'm going to give you the right gospel. We don't know what that is yet, and maybe he says, in time I'll tell you what it is, but not yet. And I asked you if you would believe it. You said no. But isn't this is what happened to Joseph Smith?
No, I mean, Joseph Smith, he did see, the Son and the Father, and that was where it started. And then he went.
Right. But why do you believe
he grew up, got ready?
But why do you believe the first part, that he saw the Son and the Father and maybe the angel Moroni? Why do you believe that?
Well, because of the proof, the Book of Mormon and everything else he established in the church. They're kind of like they say, you believe the prophets based on their works, right? What they, on their life.
So if my friend was if my friend was to provide a book, let's say written over the next decade after this appearance, then you would believe him?
Yeah, I would put myself in the situation of the people in Joseph Smith's time. He came, and let's say we're in his time, and they were listening to this guy saying, "Oh, I got these plates," or let's say he already translated the Book of Mormon, you know.
Is there anything you doubt about Mormonism?
Not really, no.
There's been no time in your life where you asked yourself and you really struggled with certain things about the LDS Church?
Like I said, like I've been through a lot, so I have seen when I first learned about like black people, you know, not being able to hold the priesthood, or the plural marriage, or what else? There's a couple other things at the time I would kind of doubt, but then the more I learn, the more understanding I have, the clearer everything is. You know, a lot of people just hear what one person says, and then they think that's it. You know, they don't look into it. They don't find their own perspective on the situation or on the topic. But I don't think I have any doubts right now.
So I'm actually not clear on black people not being in the priesthood. Was that a commandment that was changed, or was that never a commandment?
No, it was never. You know, Joseph Smith, you know, he had a lot of when he ran for president, he you know, he was very progressive with that, with the slavery, try to get rid of it or something like that, you know, just shortening the story. But Joseph Smith was never, you know, never did that in his time. It was slowly, like some people would bring it up to other leaders saying like, you know, what are we gonna do? Because in some places they don't allow black people here and there. So it was just something that slowly, gradually turned into, all right, we're gonna stop doing this for now, and then eventually they, you know, they had a revelation or something about it. But it was a while ago when I saw this, but no, I don't. It wasn't like.
Isn't it suspicious to you that when the culture changes, there's these new revelations to change things?
No, I think you know,
like let's say slavery was never abolished and slavery, American slavery, still existed today. Do you think the LDS Church would say blacks can be high priests?
Do I think that they'll be allowed, like if it was still slavery?
Yeah, let's say there was
I think so.
Slavery. Do you think this revelation in the 70s would have come forwards in the Mormon Church saying, "Oh, by the way, that was all wrong. Black people can be priests." But I'm saying the only reason why that happened is because the culture changed in the United States, and that if we still had slavery today, I bet you a lot of money the LDS Church would still say black people can't be priests in the LDS Church. Do you disagree with that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's bad that a church will, you know, change based on the times. You know, we don't follow the same traditions as like Abraham and them. You know, I think a church should be, you know, be able to adjust based on their times. I don't see anything wrong with that.
And what about polygamy? Has that ever bothered you?
Like I said, when I first learned about it, yeah, it was kind of like iffy, but
Yeah.
you know, learning more about what we do in the temples and what marriage is about, you know, eternal marriage, things like that.
But to me, it just sounds reasonable. Like, if a man says to a woman, "Hey, God told me for you to be my wife, and it's okay, even though I have another wife," doesn't that sound like something a man would make up?
Yeah, but I don't know
just to
if
get some
that's
coitus.
true. Did that actually happen or something?
Yeah, I think.
Because if you look into it, you know, if you truly look into like the resources, because the church provides all these resources for us, you know, especially on polygamy and the times of Joseph Smith. If you really look into it, it was all based, you know, of course there was there was more marriages that were, you know, non-sexual. It was just, you know, just I forget what it's called, but you know, not all of them are like that. I don't. And then I remember learning that, you know, if a brother you know, a member wanted to be like that and just wasn't following the commandment how it was, they would not be allowed to be they would be excommunicated, you know. So it was very strict, and it was very sacred type of thing. It wasn't just like we have, you know,
But
like
if
marriage.
if it were true that Joseph Smith claimed that God told him to take multiple wives, would that make you doubt that it's true?
No, I mean, I believe that he was told to do it, and you know, he struggled about it. He didn't want to, you know, it was a very hard thing for him
Really?
to implement into the church. Yeah,
I mean, come on. If you had the pick of the
because he
litter
did it.
and you could choose 5, would you struggle with that, Josh?
I mean,
You probably don't even have to, like, it's not like a love relationship. It's more of a coitus relationship.
no, I honestly don't think so. I mean, like I said, I don't struggle with that anymore. I mean, I honestly believe that it's because I know you know, the sacred part of it, the eternal part of marriage. You know, that was the whole focus on it.
I know, but that's part of the way you get women to have sex with you is you tell them, hey, this is sacred. This is what God wants.
I think we know enough about Joseph Smith's character to know that that's not the way it was.
Like if you and I in high school were to convince women that
And
God told them to have sex with us, like, and they believed it, we'd be terrible people for doing it, but it would work if they believed that God said it.
I would honestly only care about Joseph Smith and the other leaders and what they did and what their mind was at that time. Of course, I know there was probably, you know, other members who did it for that reason, you know, or, you know, had some type of bad intention. But
Like you are,
I think we know enough about Joseph Smith that
well, yeah,
he did it.
this is why a lot of people reject the Latter-day Saints, because we know so much. Like there's a lot of Christians, like evangelical Christians, who would say that Joseph Smith was a con artist.
That's just what they say. I mean, that's not what I see and what I've seen, you know, what I've studied. That's just what they say.
But have you talked to any of them and asked them why they think he's a con artist?
No, I you know, like I said, I'm a fan of you. I watch a lot of videos like this, like, you know, other people's critiques, and um, it really doesn't hold water with me. Like it's nothing. It's more of an opinion most of the time than actual fact.
Are you married?
Yes,
Did you get married in the Mormon church? Or like in the temple?
not yet.
Oh, it's coming up.
Yeah, pretty soon.
Are you excited
Hopefully.
for that?
Yeah,
I've heard some interesting things
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
You get to wear white. Everybody's wearing white, right?
Yeah, that's what I was watching with the lady you were talking to. I tried not to see it because I wanted it to be a
A surprise.
surprise for me, you know. It all has meaning, you know. It's all. I mean, you guys kind of make fun of it, but like everyone has their rituals, and
Yeah, you know what?
you know,
I do not deny that it brings people meaning and hope and family and tradition. My only concern is, like, do we care enough to know whether it's based on something true or not? And can we replace it with something that's just as fulfilling, that's not, like, if Mormonism is false, I'm sure we can replace it with something that gives us just as much hope and meaning, right? Like poker.
Yeah, but you'll never find the truth in those things, you know. Not like we do here. Not like what our faith brings, you know.
Well, but think about all those religions all over the world that they're good people, just like you're a good person, they find this meaning and community, and with their certain beliefs, whether they're Taoist or they're Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist, whatever. But my guess is, if you were to look at the details, you and I would be agreed that we don't believe almost anything that they believe. But yet they still are like you, in that they find this type of community and hope and just good feelings.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's true, but I feel like most people, like, what will happen is like yourself. You know, you were a believer at once, and you had questions, and you just won't find them. Some people just won't find them in just the Bible alone, like, you know, or just their preacher alone will not have the answers most of the time.
How long have you been an LDS?
All my life, pretty much.
Okay, you're raised in it.
Yep.
Do they actually, like, isn't it bad of you to even watch my channel from their perspective?
No, we all got freedom of.
Like, I know I don't
freedom
talk
to
about
do what we
Mormonism
want.
very much, but if I were to actually start really bringing up bad stuff or speak about Mormonism badly, wouldn't they tell you to stop watching me?
I mean, I'm sure they'll recommend not to do it, but I think if you would get to that point, I probably wouldn't watch, because it'd be kind of pointless. I like to watch you because how you question the other Christians. You know, I found you when I was looking up a debate that Kwaku was doing with this one pastor guy.
Yeah.
And you were yeah, I believe it was James White. You were you know, going through it and then, you know, reacting to it.
Yeah.
And I like the way that you kind of became an apologist for us, you know, just really showing them how they're kind of being, you know.
Yeah, I kind of took Kwaku's side.
Hypocritical.
I kind of took Kwaku's side on that one, because he brought up some
and if you notice, you do it all the time. You did it with him, and there was another one that I was just watching. Beat on the beat, something beat the.
But you know why I do it though? Like, because I came from that type of Christianity, and so I like to pick on them a little bit more, and I know more about that than I do Mormonism. But I truly believe that everything that you hold dear as the core propositions of your religion is totally false. I mean, I am so convinced that it is false. And for you to actually convert me or try to give me evidence to believe it, it would have to be so much more than what you currently have. It would basically be akin to seeing a miracle in the name of Joseph Smith or something, or the angel Moroni. Like the fact that we have a book, well, Mormons have a book, Hindus have a book, the Vedas, Christians have their New Testament, Jews have a book. Like, everybody has a holy book, and it means nothing whether it's true or not. And then I asked the what's more likely question, that people either think that they've been experiencing a deity, or that they're just lying, or that a deity actually appeared before them and showed them where these golden plates were, and then helped them interpret it and write it down. Like, there's so many reasons to think that this is not true.
Yeah. Of course, I don't agree with you, but, you know, and I wouldn't want to convert you. I think we don't have that kind of power. No one does.
Yeah,
but
you're more like a Calvinist in that sense, that this is all up to God. And
no, I will say it's up to you, not God.
Well, but don't you believe that the Holy Spirit, like with the burning of the bosom, the praying to God to help you understand, isn't that a big part?
Yeah, but that's up to you. You know, he's not gonna just send it to you. You have to look.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think we're. Some people think that God controls everything. I think we have our agency to do what we want, and find and look for Him.
But there would be, like, what would be a reason for me to become a Mormon? Like, you know a little bit about me. I'm not struggling in life too much. I mean, I have problems like everybody else does, and if there's no hell, why do I need Mormonism?
I think for someone if somebody wants to really strive to be the best they can be, more our beliefs would be the best for them.
Well, I look at Tom Cruise, and he's a really good actor, and he's a Scientologist. So maybe I should go to Scientology if I want to be the best I can be. Like, how do I figure that out? Which is the best religion to go into to be all I can be?
Well, I'm sure it has to do with, to me, the best I can be is not just now, it's for eternity. It's for what happens after,
Yeah.
It's not, I'm sure everyone struggles with that. What's after?
What would happen
what happens?
What would happen if your fiance left Mormonism? Would you have to not get married to her?
I don't think so. I mean, first, so let me just explain. We are married, but only by law, by civil marriage.
Right. So
But
you're
we
not
still
really
need
married
the
then, right?
temple. Not in the temple, no.
Yeah. So do you
technically we are really married? Just
can you still have sex?
Yes.
Okay, so you are really married then.
So yeah, we are married. It's just marriage in the temple is a sealing or binding for eternity, kind of the way I see it.
But if your wife were to leave LDS, do you think you'd be more likely to leave?
I don't think so, no. It would be interesting, to see how that happens. But no, I mean, it doesn't. I'll be like you. It's like your wife and yourself, It's just,
yeah.
She has her life. I have mine. My beliefs. Of course, I'd rather she, and my family can be on the same path, But
how about your family and her family? Like, if you or her were to leave the LDS church, would you be ostracized or would you be shunned?
No.
No.
No. No. Everything. A lot of people think that we're kind of like. I think Scientologists do that, right? Where they shun people and
Yeah.
Jehovah's Witnesses. No, we don't do that.
So you think your mom would be like, she would be disappointed, but she would still talk to you and everything?
Yeah. Yeah, my brother doesn't, grew up with the church too. He's younger than me, but he doesn't go to church. He doesn't care. I think one point he said he was atheist, but my mom doesn't care. She cares, but she's not gonna shun him or nag him about it or nothing. It's just he's going through his life and she's going through hers.
Okay, well, that's
the
good.
way I see it. Yeah.
Okay, Josh, it's been fun. I'll let you go. Thanks for calling in.
Yep. Yeah, hopefully we can talk more.
Okay.
Once I get a little more relaxed, I feel it's the first time I do this, but
no, you did quite well.
It was nice talking to you.
I put you on the hot seat.
Thanks.
I asked you a lot of questions, so you did well.
Yeah. I hope you do look more into our beliefs. I feel like you're close. The way that you talk in in those other videos, you're close.
You think I'm
you
close
just need
to joining the LDS church?
No, close to understanding.
Oh.
Close to really digging into it, because you're kind of seeing how we conflict with normal Christian views.
Oh, yeah, I understand that. In fact, I went to Utah, Salt Lake City, and I looked at your temple there, and I brought my family with me, and my wife is an evangelical Christian, and she was very uncomfortable.
Why is that?
I asked her why she's uncomfortable, and she said, because, Doug, this is a cult, right?
No.
My wife
is not a cult.
My wife was an evangelical Christian, looks at Mormons like they're members of a cult. And she's scared.
It's just a matter of understanding.
And she's scared that if just by hanging around Mormons that our children might be grabbed into the cult.
I think they'll be fine if they do. Tell them not to worry if they do. Nah, but if by cult she means in a negative way, it's
Oh yeah, she
not a
meant it in
negative
a
at
negative
all.
way. Yeah, because she believes that she has the truth and that LDS is wrong.
Well, her truth will become better and bigger with us, you know. Yeah, I honestly believe that. I think if you, at the time when you started doubting and had those questions, and if you went to an LDS member, even a missionary, they would have helped you understand things a lot better than telling you no answers at all.
I think for people who are not raised in it, the
Yeah.
best way to get into the LDS church is to be desperate. Like there has to be something wrong in your life where you need a solution. Either you are addicted to something, or you've lost a loved one through death or tragedy, and you're looking for someone to show you love, give you community, give you support. If I become that type of person, you're probably right. I'd be more likely to become a Mormon. But until that day,
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing
Yeah,
is,
it's true. A lot.
the thing is, Josh, this happens in every religion. This is how religion
Yeah.
gets converts.
Yeah, and then it's whoever gets them first, you know, gets to them
Yes.
first.
In fact, you know,
Yeah.
it's funny you bring that up because I don't know, 6-7 years ago, I interviewed a guy who was an atheist and he became Mormon. And I asked him, how did it happen? He said, I lost my wife in a car accident. It was something like that. It was horrible. It was sad, sad, sad. And the first people at the door were the Mormons to help me. The first people were the Mormons. So what you just said reminded me of that. They were the first to his door to help him, and he became a Mormon.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I say I don't think anyone has the power to convert you, you know. It's all individual. It's all in ourselves to really, if you truly want to find answers and you're looking for answers, that's the only way you're gonna convert.
Light up my
I would
water
say.
soaked napkin and I'll believe.
No, I don't believe in that.
Well, then I'm stuck.
That's not how it works. Yeah.
Okay, Josh.
But
Have a good day.
all right, man. Yeah. See ya.
See ya. Would you rather like your wife to be LDS or evangelical? Great question, Paul Schlechter. How's my volume, by the way? It's probably low. Oh, that's okay. The version of evangelical my wife is, I would say evangelical. Because evangelical Christianity really doesn't have many rituals other than baptism and communion. And that's, you do baptism once and communion you might do once a month. It's not really that superstitious other than, I guess, prayer. But I think the Mormons have more superstitious stuff going. Which, who knows? Maybe it's fun. Maybe it's fun to dress up in all white and do the secret handshakes and stuff. Four-hour preaching. Oh, that I couldn't handle. I could not handle that. But I think with both Josh, who just left, the Mormon, and then, what was the other guy's name? GB. Did you guys notice a pattern there? It's almost like they're both saying, I believe because I believe. Which reminds me of a song. Oh, never mind that. Let's see if I can find the song. Have anyone here see the musical Book of Mormon? It's an amazing song. If I play it, then YouTube won't like it, but who cares? It's one of my favorite songs. Book of Mormon's a great musical.
The next nominee for Best Musical follows two young Mormon missionaries as they travel from their homes in Salt Lake City to a poor and desolate village in northern Uganda. After witnessing...
The thing is, this song applies to almost any religion. It is so profound. It gives me goosebumps. It's so powerful and fun and good quality. I got to see that musical again. Not a licensed therapist. Still funny. Okay, let's wrap things up here. I'll focus on the chat. Someone should make a musical of the Bible. I think they already did, right? Yeah, demonetization squad coming in hot. I've been playing a lot of music lately, so you know, I'm automatically making money for other people. They don't penalize me, they just advertise on their behalf instead of mine. You're welcome, the Book of Mormon musical people. Or CBS, whoever's gonna demonetize this. You believe in the spirit of Christmas, though, don't you? Yeah, I believe in the spirit of Christmas. Which is coming up soon, 4 days. Have you bought your presents yet? You're running out of time. I just watched a Mike Winger video about Santa Claus. It's great to take the video and just change the name of Santa for the name Jesus. I just did a interview on my politics channel where a guy kept accusing me of trapping him, and it reminded me of Mike Winger. Thanks to my guests who came on, was willing to talk to me. Thank you for hanging out. If I don't see you before Christmas, have a great one.